Hello, I'm marking episode number 370 of the TEW 2020 Challenge Run. This is going to be SmackDown for week 4 of May 2023, and it's the go-home show for the Starrcade pay-per-view this Sunday. And yeah, we've got pretty much the whole card set at the minute. Got Kevin Owens challenging Carmelo Hayes for the World Heavyweight Championship. We've got War Games on the Raw side, the Women's War Games on the Heat side. But there are a couple of other things I want to sprinkle onto the show at short notice, and we'll get a couple of those tonight. And then we're full speed ahead into tomorrow, where we'll get the WCW Extravaganza. But first, though, let's take us through the final build towards the show. Let's jump straight into tonight's SmackDown. So we actually have to start tonight's SmackDown off on a rather somber note, because Bret Hart in the game died on Wednesday, I want to say. So yeah, this is the Bret Hart tribute show, I guess. Got our top guys on here standing outside, 10-bell salute for the Bret Hart, and we carry on with... You can't make it through May in this game without somebody dying. So, yeah. And then we cut to the Bret Hart video package, highlighting his career. And then, thank you, Bret chants. Then we open the actual show with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn coming down to the ring. Kevin Owens probably in a Bret Hart shirt, because, Canadian. He's like, it's a rather somber note tonight, carrying the legacy of my great nation all on my own shoulders is going to be a tough ask, but hell, it's what Bret would have wanted, so we got to move forward with it. So last week, in that 5-way main event, Seth Rollins thought he was going to try and weasel his way into a championship opportunity, but it didn't work out, because guess what? I won. And not only did I win, I won by pinning my own best friend to do so. And Sammy just starts laughing, like, Kev, every man for himself in a match like that. So, you did exactly what I'm going to do. You did, to be honest, exactly what I expected of you to do. So, no hard feelings. I get it. I just couldn't get to you in time. And then Kev's like, it's going to be great to have Sammy in my corner to combat that dastardly Trick Williams in Carmelo Hayes' corner, because we've got a world champion who can't even win here by himself. But he does have the ultimate prize that I want. And I'm going to take that prize tomorrow night in the Georgia Dome at Starrcade. That'll Carmelo and Trick. And I was like, oh, KO. Come on, you must be tripping, man. You must be tripping. You see, I've been a fan of yours for a while now. You're somebody that I do look up to, and somebody that I wanted to be like. Except, apart from the whole standing around in shorts and a vest, I actually look like a star and not a bum like you. And Tricky's like, who said anything about bums, Melo? Where are the bums? And then it's like, quiet, Trick, quiet, So this man here, you run your mouth, okay? You're saying this is what Bret would have wanted, huh? I don't think you know what Bret would have wanted, Kev, because at Starrcade, you ain't gonna leave the World Heavyweight Champion, 'cause I am that man. I am the World Heavyweight Champion. I am him. And when you're him, it comes with a crown. And this is my crown. I got a literal crown on my head, figurative crown on my shoulder. Kevin Owens, you've got nothing. You think you're going to be a viable challenger to me? Well, step up to me and you'll see that I don't miss. It's actually quite poetic that, we're honoring Bret Hart here tonight, because as he used to call himself, the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, he was only half right there. Because he was the best. But he ain't the best ever. Because that's me. And then Sam's like, well, you two are going at it tomorrow night for that championship. But I'm free right now, and your little sidekick bitch here seems free right now. And Tricky Guy's like, who you calling side bitch? I ain't a side bitch. I'll whip your dumb ass for smacking me upside the head like that. About it. Sammy goes, great. looks like we've got ourselves an opening match. And then Mello and Kevin Owens leave, and we get Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams in an 83 rated match, which Trick Williams actually wins via interference from from Carmelo Hayes. 82 for Sami, 57 for Trick. This seemed very abrupt, but what happened was perfectly timed. I'd already planned for Carmelo Hayes and Kevin Owens at Starrcade, and then 2 or 3 weeks ago, Sami Zayn came to me with an email before one of the shows and said that he wants to put Tricky over. So I was like, that falls perfectly in line with the story. So I may as well actually do that promise. So here you go, Sami. Good job, boy. Let's hope Tricky can run with that momentum. He gets a 57 and an 82 for Sami. Big win for Tricky. Let's not overlook that. We then cut backstage, and Kayla is with Ilya Dragunov. And she says, Ilya, you've been dying to get back into the ring here on SmackDown. Tonight you're going to get that opportunity. And he goes, yes, I am. I came this close to becoming the World Heavyweight Champion back at WrestleMania from the man they called Indestructible Gunther. But they called the wrong man Indestructible Kayla because, as we saw by Pete Dunne, Gunther is not indestructible. I am. And tonight I'm going to prove it when I step back into that ring and I take it all and I come out victorious because I am unbreakable, unbesiegbar. And then we listen here, kid, you're on your mouth a lot. Hey, I get it. I used to be young and dumb like you. But there's levels to this game, man, You're getting into the ring with Seth freaking Rollins here tonight. You ain't got a chance, kid. And then Ilya's like, keep looking down on me, keep putting me down. Because that's all I've had since I got here on Raw and SmackDown. But I'll prove that I am undeniable and unbreakable. But Seth Rollins, you're not unbreakable. Because tonight I'll break you. And then Ilya walks off. And Seth's like, well, there we go, Kayla. Let's see what this kid's all about. So yeah, in random match, unannounced, Ilya Dragunov, Seth Rollins, Have high hopes for that one. But first, Candice comes out. The new Women's World Champion. And she's like, it's been a week since Triple H came out here and bestowed me with this beautiful new Women's World Championship. And I'm still not used to it, Women's World Champion. I'm like, the guy around here now. And carrying this championship, and I will carry this championship forward with pride. And I will continue to be the best champion that I possibly can be here on SmackDown. And the entire women's division in the back there, they can look at me as their leader, and I'll take that torch and I'll run with it because this means everything to me. I've only had it for a week, but I dare you to come and try and take it off me.
Watch me.
Outstorms Liv Morgan. Her music hits and she just storms. She doesn't wait for a cue or anything. She just completely storms straight out to the ring. She does following her, trying to stop her, but Liv just storms into the ring. And Liv just starts laughing. She's like, Candice, don't worry. Sorry to interrupt your big moment, but you've had enough of those since the Royal Rumble. Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm allowed this one. But that last week, you came into our locker room at that championship and you were so bragging about that championship because it was so great. The great Candice LeRae overcame all odds to become the Women's World Champion. That's great for you, but since Judgment Day when me and Sheeta lost those tag team championships, I've had a hole inside me. And to see you storm into my locker room last week and brag and shove that championship in my face, you don't care. You just wanted a chance to show off that you were the best. Didn't care about anyone else because all about this is the Candice LeRae show, you said. So if you want to be a real champion and, like you said, fight with honor, then you'll put that title on the line tomorrow night at Starrcade against me. Candice is like, well, I didn't expect this, but again, like I said, since I've been a champion, I've got to be on my toes at all times, because you never know where the challengers are coming from. There's probably one behind me right now, but if it's a defense of this at Starrcade that you're after, Liv, I'll see you there. So there we go, just impromptu champion. I'm going to get a women's title match on the show. Liv Morgan and Candice LeRae. Liv kind of has a point, because Liv was, probably not fully recovered from losing her tag titles at Judgment Day last week when she was talking in the locker room. And then fucking storms Candice, like, oh yeah, look at my flashy new belt. So Liv's obviously just like, oh no, fuck off, I'm taking it off you. So yeah, Liv Morgan and Candice LeRae, Starrcade. 80. I did this just for the bit, because we've been putting the Frenchmen in matches recently and they've been banging. David Martos had 2. So I thought, yeah, let's stick Idris and Malik in with a good tag team and see how they do. He gets an 80, which isn't quite the level that David Martos and Pete Dunne had, but it's still good because it gets Idris and Malik. But yeah, it is the champions, Daniel Bryan and Cesaro, who defeat La French Connection. Cesaro pins Malik Blade with a neutralizer. 53 for Idris Inoue, 55 for Malik Blade, 87 for Cesaro, and a 94 for Daniel Bryan. And it would also be announced, after this in a graphic, that next week we will have the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match, Ken Cobain and Emerson Frost of the Grand Jury taking on Daniel Bryan and Cesaro. And that could be a big night for the Grand Jury, because Damian Priest in tonight's main event is taking on Swerve Scott for the US title. So if he wins that, then they could have 3 belts. We then get Hard-Hitting Home Truths with Nathan Fraser, and he's talking. He's like, good evening and welcome to Hard-Hitting Home Truths with me, Nathan Fraser. So, SmackDown still recovering off the hot of the heels of the fallout of Judgment Day, but it seems like it's non-stop go on this train here on the Blue Brand, because just 2 weeks after Judgment Day we have Starrcade tomorrow night. Of course, I'm not on that show, but it's a tribute to WCW's history, and you've got many people that wrestled on WCW, guys like Rey Mysterio, guys like Juventud Guerrera for the Cruiserweight Championship, a match I'll have a keen eye on, by the way. We've got, of course, AJ Styles and Jeff Jarrett, former wrestled on WCW, Meiko Satomura. The list goes on and on and on. But then 3 weeks after that, we have another pay-per-view, Money in the Bank, in a city I know also well, good old London, England. And next week, I am going to get the chance to be on that show, because it's going to be a triple threat match qualifier. Myself, Mustafa Ali, and that Bronson Steiner guy. And don't get me wrong, he looked dangerous the last 2 weeks we saw him when he assaulted Keith Lee at Judgment Day and then beat up Bobby Fish last week. But when I'm in that ring, it's all about speed and precision. Let you be known, on my first night here, I beat my mentor, Seth Rollins. So next week, Bronson can try and crush me all he wants. He's got to get his hands on me first. And Ali, he can probably keep up with me in the ring, but I'll stop at nothing to get on that one-way train back to the UK. See you there, boys. We then cut to a vignette of Angel Garza and his MILFs leaving MILF Manor. And he's all upset. And Dixie's like, oh, honey, what's wrong? He's like, I couldn't find her. My white whale. And she's like, oh, hon, it's disappointing that you know what she looks like, but you can't tell everybody. But you can't find her, If only there was a way to show what she looked like based on your description, and then we can get other people on the case. And Garza's like, follow me, ladies. And he goes off somewhere. And then we cut him across. He's in a dark room. Or just not even that dark, just a weird room, just nothing on the walls, wooden. And then Garza's looking at somebody painting. And he's like, yes, that's her. This is perfect. He takes the painting. We can't see it, he looks at it. And he's like, this is her. If I hang this up, we'll be able to find her. Thank you so much. And then he shakes the artist's hand, and then him and the ladies leave. And then the camera pans across, and who did the drawing / painting? But good old Dexter Lumis giving a thumbs up to Angel Garza as he leaves. So Dexter's here. He's back. He's got a great weighted gimmick. And yeah, I thought I re-signed him because obviously he came back in real life. So I was like, yeah, I'll bring Dexter back. Because I liked booking him anyway. But he was somebody that I had nothing for a while. But he's back now. And I'm like, how can I really, utilize... How can I bring him back? I'm like, he's going to draw Garza's white whale. So his quest for his number one desired MILF is well underway, but he might be a bit busy next week. He might have more important things. Well, I mean, there is nothing more important in Garza's mind than a MILF, but to the rest of us, he might have more important things going on, because as we hear from this segment, Kayla is backstage. She goes, ladies and gentlemen, next week, as we heard from Nathan Fraser earlier on, Money in the Bank qualifiers will kick off. He's like, Kayla Braxton, let me talk to you. He's like, can I take this? He takes the mic off her. He goes, ladies and gentlemen, next week, Money in the Bank qualifiers. We're well underway. SmackDown's on the quest to London, England, where one lucky man and woman are going to get the chance to change their dream and change their career and become a holder of a case that entitles you to one free championship match of your choosing. Anytime up to a year. Now the women's briefcase, that's going to be hot and contested, and there's going to be 8 viable women fighting it out for the right to be called Miss Money in the Bank. But that ain't the case for the men's match. Nah. Because there's only one person on this roster who needs a championship match, a man who's been denied a championship match, a man who's been held down by Adam Pearce, and a man who next week in a triple threat qualifier will take on Angel Garza and the loser of tonight's United States Championship main event between Swerve Scott and Damian Priest. And who is that man, Kayla? Well, I'll tell you who that man is. That man is your future Mr. Money in the Bank, L.A. Knight. Yeah. So yeah, there's the other men's qualifier next week. LA Knight versus Angel Garza versus either Swerve or Priest, depending on who wins the main event tonight. Whoever loses that will get a chance to qualify for Money in the Bank. 97, there we go. Again, I knew it would bang, but I'm sorry to just throw these random ass matches in here now that I know we're going to get fucking sick ratings. Seth beats Ilya in 17 minutes of a curb stomp because, it's Seth Rollins. He needs a rebound win off them. He didn't get pinned last week, but he didn't win, so... Seth stomps Ilya into the ground, 17 minutes. 96 for Seth, 76 for Ilya, and that is another... he's had a lot of these over the last few months, but another star-making outing from the Mad Russian. But it is the Visionary who comes out on top and scores the victory here tonight. We then cut back to a dark room. Carrion's there, he's staring at his 2 tarot cards of Carcass and Cutler. He goes, scheming in the dark. That's what I've been doing. And I see that we have Starrcade tomorrow. And it's time for me to avenge my fallen comrades with a K. Carcass Cutler, I'll make you proud. Because the soul of another victim will be mine. But this time, by my own hands. When I get my hands on a man that I've needed to bring to an end for a long, long time now. A man who, quite frankly, Georgia Dome, Starrcade, it's his calling. So, I'm calling you out for Starrcade. Goldberg. And then come back to the ring. Kyrie's in the ring. First time we've seen her since Judgment Day, where she beat EO in their second match. And she takes the mic. She's like, at Judgment Day, I won. EO was beaten, and now I look ahead to becoming SmackDown Women's Champion once again, starting with Money in the Bank. Out comes Tiffany Stratton. She's like, oh, that's so cute. Like, look at this. Like, you're recording this. You've got this all. Okay, good. Listen here, Kyrie. You had your moment in the spotlight, okay? Quite frankly, you're better off, taking a back seat and letting the it girls get it all done, because when that briefcase is hanging up there in London, there's only going to be one person here, sweetie, that's going to pull that down. It ain't going to be you. No. It's going to be me, because, everything that enters this ring revolves around me, and that Money in the Bank briefcase is no exception, because if you carry around a briefcase, you're going to what? Put your booty in there and put your treasure in there and bury it 6 feet under? You are like a little pirate girl, you are. Or you could have it be carried around with me everywhere I go, being filmed by my own paparazzi, and I could use it to become the women's world champion and get my revenge on Candace, who showed me up last week. And Kari just laughs. She's like, you want Money in the Bank? Next week, me versus you. Qualifier. And Tiffy's like, well, fine, I'll put you down, weird little pirate girl, huh? You don't know that. So yeah, there's first women's Money in the Bank qualifier set for next week. It'll be Kairi Sane against Tiffany Stratton. We then cut backstage. Swerve's getting all hyped up for tonight's main event. He's got Hit Bro with him. And he goes, alright boys, tonight's going to be a big night, another defense of this title. Matt Riddle, done and dusted, Hit Bro, a thing of the past, if it was ever even a thing. But tonight, I face Damian Priest. He's a tougher up than Matt Riddle, that's for sure. But I think I've got it done. And he goes to leave elsewhere, leaving just the three members of Hit Row in the locker room. When Pete Dunne rushes in, and he beats the fuck out of Top Dollar, and Ashanti, B-Fab, tries to get away and try and go find Swerve. But Pete Dunne locks the door, and then when she goes to check on Top Dollar and Ashanti after Pete Dunne's snap their fingers or whatever, he'd lock the door and then barricade it up, and you could be able to hear B-Fab banging on the door, but she can't get out. So doesn't seem like Hit Row are going to be a problem in tonight's main event. 78 is fine for this because it's got these two in it and they're not really that over. But in 13 minutes 46, it is the team of Florence, Lyra Valkyria, and Killer Kelly who defeat Damage Control, Bayley, Dakota, and Cora, when Florence pins Bayley with I've called it the Rain Flow, because it's Rainmaker, her name's Florence Flow. Yeah, you get it. 56 for Killer Kelly, 55 for Lyra, 78 for Florence, 70 for Cora, 73 for Dakota, and 81 for Bayley. Yeah, after their war of words 2 weeks ago and last week, Florence has backed it up in the ring. She's defeated Bayley here tonight. And I imagine after the match, Bayley would grab the microphone and she'd throw a hissy fit. She's like, no, not like that. That's not fair. Next week, 1-on-1, me and you. No Dakota, no Cora, no Kelly, no Lyra. Me and you 1-on-1. Winner goes to Money in the Bank. So yeah, Bayley versus Florence is the second women's Money in the Bank qualifier set for next week. And then see Trick and Mello getting gassed up because Tricky got a big dub. And he's going, oh yeah, Tricky got that big win, Mello, you saw that. Trick and Mello gang stocks are rising. I'd buy stocks in Trick and Mello gang right now if I was you. Because Trick, it's great. You got a big win over Sami Zayn. I'm going to embarrass his little best friend, Kevin Owens, tomorrow night at Starrcade. But then we got to look ahead. We got ops everywhere we turn. Got that LA Knight trying to breathe on our necks. Got Dolph Ziggler. And of course, and you would say, oh, big win out there, Tricky. Big win out there, okay? Nice one, but, got a bigger win tonight. Is that freaking Rollins? So, keep parading around with that title, thinking it makes you the most important guy on SmackDown. I'm telling you now, Mello, it doesn't. You're just keeping it warm for the real top star, me. But big win though, and good luck tomorrow night. And Seth walks off, and Mello just looked at Tricky like, and of course, that guy then see a recap of Sanga versus Angelo Dawkins last week. And we cut to Indy and Sanga watching it. It's like, are you sure you were right? Your head in the game. You had Angelo beat, but then just the presence of Bivens seemed to throw you off. It's like, I did everything that I could, but I guess Dawkins is a tough competitor. It was a tough match, and Bivens walks like, well, I think I can help you with that one, Sanga. Okay, you see, because I think you're lacking the mental capacity to take these big matches because you're so new here on SmackDown. But Veer here, he's unloaded on the ass of every single competitor he's ever stepped into the ring with since he came last year. And then I imagine Indy would give him like a weird look and he'd go, don't look at me like that, it's true. Anyway, I also have the Nigerian giant Omos. He's more your speed, right? Big, tall guy. Look at how dominant he's been under my watch. So, next week, if you're not going to get in on this, you can see firsthand the damage that my guys can cause. Because it's going to be you one-on-one with the Nigerian giant, Omos. And then they walk off and Indy and Sanga just look. Indy looks, he's like, you sure ready for that? He goes, we shall see. We then cut to Gorilla. Andre chases Gas and Thea Hale up. He's like, okay, Thea, okay. Thea, last week, I know you got jumped by these girls, these witches, but they've been stalking and haunting Chase U for the past few weeks now, so you need to get that out, you need to get your game face on, okay? Remember the last thing Bret Hart taught you? And then Thea's like, stay away from Bill Goldberg. He's like, okay, the second to last thing that Bret Hart taught you. It's like, sharpshooter. It's like, yes, so go out there and teach that spooky bitch an Andre Chase University-sized teachable moment and give her an even bigger-sized ass-whooping. Chase U. And then Thea Hale storms out for the match with Alba Fire. Gets a fucking 71. Holy shit. And, yeah. Originally, it was going to be a continuation of the dominance of Alba and Iona because of, them being the spooky bitches, but then Bret Hart died in the game, so Thea's winning with the sharpshooter. It's a feel-good moment. Probably dressed in pink Chase U gear for like one night only, but Thea gets a 33-78 for Alba. Big win for Thea Hale here tonight. But after the match, the witches get their heat back. They beat up Thea 2-on-1, hit her with that double team finisher. Haley probably runs out and also gets laid out of the finisher. And then Thea Hale, she starts to stand up in the corner as they've just laid out her tag team partner. And all of a sudden she just remembered where she is. She just beat Alba Fire, made her submit. But now she sees the two of them like cornering her. And all of a sudden she's worried once again. And then I imagine Iona Webb would walk up to Thea in the corner, get in her face. Thea's like cowering away, but she can't go back any further. And Iona just sort of like looks at her, starts chuckling, and then squirts like something in her face. I don't know what it would be. Not mist, because she's not Asuka, but like some black liquid, I guess. And then Thea is screaming, trying to get it out of her face as the witches back away. We then get another promo from Ilya. We see him in the medical room, but he's not sitting down. He keeps firing out and getting off his bed. And I was like, Ilya, you said I need to check on your injuries. Like, I'm fine. It's gonna take him more than that to keep me down. Like, Ilya, it's fine to admit that you might be hurt. He goes, I'm fine. He can't break me. I'm unbreakable. And then Ilya just like probably pushes the doctors down and then just leaves on his own 2 feet. Just storms out of the room. Just to show that, yeah, he may have lost, but he ain't down. You can't keep this mad bastard down. We then cut back to the ring. Well, first and foremost, let me just say, Bronson Steiner, the offer's still on the table if you want it, the Liner brothers. I'm thinking it's a thing. But last week's assault was uncalled for. I was simply coming out here to gash you up and tell you that, in fact, that there were no lies in what you were saying. But turns out that may have been the biggest lie of them all, because You're a scumbag, Bronson Steiner, and I mean, folks, where's the lie there? But enough about him. Bobby Fish is back here tonight, giving you a good hard dose of the truth. Zero lies to be found. And when I say that Starrcade is going to be one hell of a show, well, I ask, folks, where's the... Out come Uncle Howdy and Susanna with the puppets behind them. And like Uncle Howdy just stands in Bobby Fish's face. He does that Uncle Howdy laugh. He's like, and Bobby Fish just looks on weird. All of a sudden a referee enters the ring. And a bell rings and Uncle Howdy beats Bobby Fish with a Sister Abigail. 3 minutes 39. Probably just toys with Bobby Fish for a bit. 56 for Uncle Howdy, 58 for Bobby Fish. And after the match, Uncle Howdy's still laughing. After he's just... the rest of the Funhouse are probably taking turns just beating the fuck out of Bobby Fish as well. And Susanna takes the mic. And she's like, Bray, my sweet, sweet Bray, I heard what you had to say. Don't fight it. Please don't fight it, because if you fight it, we'll fight you. We just want to be one big, happy family together, the way it used to be. But you are trying to run from yourself. Why? Is it because you fear the man that you became? But we think he's great. And we really miss him. We just wish he'd come home. Accept it. Revel in who you truly are. And I imagine the voice, Uncle Howdy's voice, like, revel in what you are, and it echoes around the arena in his deep, booming voice. And then smoke appears in the ring, and then via CGI bullshit fuckery, when the smoke fades, they're all gone. And we just see a laid out Bobby Fish. Next week, though, is a pretty stacked episode of SmackDown, because it's the start of a lot of things, but that includes this, the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. Daniel Bryan and Cesaro defend the championships against the number one contenders, the Grand Jury, Emerson Frost and Ken Kobain. But that's not all, because of course we also heard earlier on tonight that the Nigerian giant Omos will go one-on-one with Sanga in a battle of the Titans. Two colossal, gigantic men going one-on-one next week. But then we have, heading towards London and Money in the Bank, it will be 2 triple threat matches to determine the first 2 participants from the SmackDown side in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. It will be a triple threat match featuring Nathan Fraser, Bronson Steiner, and Mustafa Ali. And of course the other triple threat match we don't fully know yet. It will be LA Knight, Angel Garza, and either Swerve Scott or Damian Priest, depending on who doesn't win tonight's main event. And then we have on the women's side 2 singles matches to determine spots in that match. We have Tiffany Stratton taking on former SmackDown Women's Champion Kairi Sane, and also Florence one-on-one against Bayley. That's not all, because that's SmackDown next week, where we have a pay-per-view tomorrow night called Starrcade, and it will see Candice LeRae make the first defense of her Women's World Championship. Just 2 weeks after defending the SmackDown Women's title for the last time, she defends her new championship against the former Women's Tag Team Champion, Liv Morgan. And also you could call it a dream match, but a grudge match long in the making. Karrion Kross has finally laid down the challenge to Goldberg for Starrcade. And then, of course, we have our World Heavyweight Championship bout as Kevin Owens earned the right to challenge Carmelo Hayes for the title tomorrow night in Georgia at Starrcade. Then see the rest of the Grand Jury in Gorilla gassing up Priest ahead of the match. Dolph Ziggler's like, next week's their night, okay? Next week's their night, but tonight, Damien, tonight, DP, it's your night. And you're going to go out there and you're going to become the new United States Championship, because I heard a little birdie told old DZ that Hit Row, they ain't going to be out there with Swerve tonight. And it's all yours. So we're out there helping you win. You're going to bring that gold home and fulfill the prophecy. And Priest cuts him off. He's like, no, stop. If Swerve's going out there alone, so am I. Then his music hits and he just walks out by himself. For an 81 weighted main event, I knew I should have put Seth and Ilya on last, but it made no sense to do that. But, yeah. Swerve retains the title against Damian Priest. 30 minutes 50, back handspring, elbow, back elbow, whatever the fuck I just said. I said all those words, but in some sort of weird order. Handspring, back elbow. To make defense number 3 of the US title. 78 for Damian Priest, 89 for Swerve. And yeah, and with that defense, we now know Damian Priest will face off with Angel Garza and LA Knight next week in a Money in the Bank qualifier. But that ends tonight's show. They get an 85, pretty much carried by Seth Rollins versus Ilya Dragunov, let's be honest. Yeah. And yeah, that ends this Bret Hart Memorial episode of SmackDown, I guess. We move on to Velocity, and I believe we have a trio championship match on this show with the Lady Killer challenging Death from Above, so we'll have to see what happens there. Velocity this week is all matches, no segments. That doesn't mean it's not important. There's a couple of big things that happen on this week's show, including a title match. The first being a match I thought was going to do better, but because apparently they're both unimportant, that hurt the match. But I guess even for what it was, like 63, 64, Berry being 2 jobbers, that's a really good rating. But it is Axiom and RKJ, neither of whom are officially called up to Velocity. They're both in NXT UK. Actually, no, they're both in normal NXT. But, they are 2 people I've got my eye on, potentially adding to the full-time Velocity roster. As, you'll find throughout the coming months, like the Velocity roster, the official Velocity roster will, like, flip a lot, where mainly people will jump between either Velocity full-time or NXT, and vice versa, because there are a lot of people that could probably do with going back to NXT, can't leave NXT that could do with getting the spotlight on Velocity, and these may be 2 of the latter. But yeah, for now, that's just all it is. Axiom picks up the win, 13-41, 63 for Axiom, 64 for RKJ. We then get a 68 rated match. Scripts picks up his next win. He defeats John Morrison. I think it might be like his first match on Velocity, but he's on Raw technically. But again, Cruiserweights on Raw can appear on this show. 56 for Scripts, 70 for Jomo. And after the match, he normally uses riddles and cryptic words, but this time there's nothing cryptic about what he wants. He wants the Cruiserweight Championship. We then get to the ring, we then get an ad, and Charlie Dempsey's in the ring waiting for his opponent. Out comes Cedric Alexander, a man we haven't seen in years. He is just like Carmella and Shayna. He came from AAA. He was in exclusive written deal for AAA. Me buying out AAA. I just took him back. Apollo Crews is the other one, which feels kind of weird because Apollo was fired by proxy of being a punishment. But I have him back because he signed to AAA and I bought out AAA and he was there. So like, he lost a year, but he's also there, so when he pops back up, that's why. But yeah, Cedric wins his return match on Velocity. He beats Charlie Dempsey with a lumbar check in 10:56, because Cedric is somebody that if I would have done Velocity earlier, he never would have gone away. So having the chance to bring him back is good. 74 for Cedric and a 45 for Charlie Dempsey. Then the main event gets a 79. Holy shit. And it is, of course, Death from Above, because they are just on fire right now. Look at 91 and 92 for Pistolero and Metalik. They defeat the Lady Killers. Big fan of Zachary Ben-Shahar. The other 2 are his lackeys. Might end up, moving them away and bringing their metaphor in, because I do have them all in NXT. And they're fun. So, for now, though, the Lady Killers are going to stay, because they are slimy ladies men, and I like that gimmick. But here it is, Death from Above, who retain. In 14:53, Pistolero pins Sid Cottrell, who gets a 37, 61 for Gregor Ferguson, 80 for Zachary Ben-Shahar, 76 for Lince Dorado, 91 for Pistolero, and a 92 for Grand Metalik. And so ends a match-filled but still fairly eventful episode of Velocity that gets us a 75. What matters more is what you thought of the show, mainly of SmackDown again. So do let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I'll see you next time for 371, which will be Starrcade. See you then.